Hey everyone, Attorney Matthew Legan Sanchez here. It seems like everywhere I go nowadays, I hear the phrase, father's rights, father's rights. But what about mother's rights? Do mothers have more rights than fathers? Do fathers have more rights than mothers? Let's take a look at mother's rights today. First off, mother's rights or father's rights is a red herring. Muhammad Ali, he called it the rope-a-dope. You're looking at one thing and you get hit with another. The other thing is the important aspect. Here, it's not so much mother's rights or father's rights, it's the child's best interests. What are the child's best interests? And for more information on child's best interests, I have an entire video specifically talks about best interests of the child, what the court looks for, all the standards, and everything you need to know. Check out that video. Judges care about the best interests of the child. So if you're focusing on rights versus the child, you're focusing on yourself versus the child, your judge is going to be child-centered and you should be child-centered. Don't focus on mother's rights or father's rights. Focus on your child and your child's best interests. Now, before 1960, there was something called the tender age doctrine. And the tender age doctrine basically said that children in their tender age, under 4, are best served by being raised by mother, unless the father could show that the mother was unfit. Now, the tender age doctrine is not in effect anymore. It hasn't been even mentioned in case law since 1963. What the courts focus on, best interests of the child. The ghost, however, of the tender age doctrine, it can linger a bit. And in this case, mothers, when the child is very young, especially if the father hasn't been in the picture before, especially if the parties separated before the child was born, mothers can have a bit of an edge in a case. And this is because the mother then can develop a status quo. Status quo basically means what has been happening before the court gets involved, who the primary caregiver is, who is taking the child to doctor and dentist, woken up in the middle of the night to care for a child, who has been heavily involved and bonded with the child. Now, when a party separates before the child is born, the mom naturally will then generally take over the primary caregiver role. Mothers will wake up in the middle of the night. Mothers will bring the child to any pediatrician appointments, all of that. So mothers can have an edge in establishing the status quo, which is like a ball. Once the status quo gets rolling, it keeps moving, and the court doesn't want to stop that ball from moving unless there's something major, because courts like predictability, they like consistency in the child's life, and judges tend to believe that children, when they have a predictable schedule, they shine. So judges are going to be reluctant to change the status quo, and mothers sometimes can have an edge with developing the status quo, particularly with younger children. Another important aspect to consider: when parties separate and a child's born, mothers are always listed on the birth certificate. Mothers don't have to sign acknowledgement of paternity. By virtue of birth, a mother is shown to be the mother of the child. Now, fathers, on the other hand, if the separation happens before the child's born, fathers aren't always listed on the birth certificate. Fathers don't always sign acknowledgement of paternity. And a father has to file with the court a petition to establish paternity and custody, to have paternity and custody granted. Now, mothers, on the other end, mothers, by virtue of birth, they've already established paternity. And until a father establishes custodies, mom in that situation can be free to make any decision that she wants regarding medical, education, anything that is a sole legal custody type of an issue. So if fathers don't like that, fathers need to immediately file a petition to establish paternity, because effectively not doing so enables the mom then to make any decision that she wants until the father establishes paternity. And that's a way that mothers can have an edge in custody and visitation cases, primarily and especially when the child is young. Every mother's rights case is different. Every child custody case is different. Every visitation case is different. Your specific facts are going to influence how your case unfolds with the court. If you have specific questions about your case, Call an experienced mother's right attorney. Call me, Matthew Legan Sanchez at 505 Sanchez. I'll talk to you about your specific case, your specific child, and we'll get to the bottom of your case. Call 505 Sanchez today.